Hi, I'm Wayne the Boat Guy, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about driving a boat for the very first time. If you're looking for tips on how to start up your boat when you're first driving, I do have a video about that, and I have other videos with regards to tying up a boat and all those kinds of things. In this video, I am not covering all the aspects of driving a boat. I'm just talking about some of the dynamics to consider before you go to drive your boat for the first time. When I got my first boat a couple years ago, I had never driven a boat before. I've driven a car for many, many years, and I've actually been a commercial driver for almost 10 years. So I have a lot of experience driving motor vehicles on the road, but I've never driven a boat before. I didn't fool myself in thinking it was going to be easy or exactly the same as driving a car. However, there were certain aspects of it that I really never grasped when I first started operating my boat. And one of those aspects is the fact that when you drive a boat, there are no brakes. So literally, every time you're going somewhere, you're either going under power, or the current or your momentum is pushing you, or you're having to forcefully put the boat in reverse to be able to go backwards. There's no way to actually stop the boat and have it stay stopped. Now, there are people who will say, oh, I can stop my boat on a dime. Yes, you can stop your forward momentum pretty quickly, but you're still moving. There's still tides, there's currents, there's wind, and a boat does not stay completely still unless it is anchored to the ground. And even when a boat is anchored to the ground, the wind can actually still push the boat around unless there are multiple anchors holding it in place. Matter of fact, as we're sitting here tied up at the marina, you'll see that the background changes just a little bit, because even though I'm even tied off at the marina and there is literally no wind this morning, my boat is wiggling around just a little bit in here. I was trying to think of some good analogies that could compare for driving a boat, for driving a car. Like, for example, if you were driving on ice and you had no brakes. But driving a boat is not like that at all. Because when you're driving on ice with no brakes, you can just drive very, very slowly. A boat is always moving around. The current, the wind, and the momentum are always making the boat move. When you're operating your boat in a straight line out on the water, as you're going along with your engine perfectly straight, your compass setting perfectly set, as you hold that course, you will start to veer off of that course. And that's because of the currents will be pushing you one way or the other. Sometimes it's the wind, sometimes it's both. And so what happens is with a boat is it does not stay locked on. Like on a road, you can hold your wheel, and if that road is straight, your car will go in a straight line. In a boat, it doesn't do that. You're always having to compensate and correct a little bit to stay on course. At very slow speeds, like when you're docking at the marina, there are similar challenges, because since you have no brakes, a lot of times you have to get the boat going forward and then slow the boat down. And sometimes the only way to slow the boat down is by shifting it in reverse, having your engines in reverse for a little bit. You'll still be going forward while your engines are in reverse, and then eventually it will stop and then start heading backwards. I was at a restaurant a few weeks ago, and I was watching another boat coming in, and they ended up coming in way too fast. And so whenever they came in, they were coming in nice and straight into the spot. But by the time they went to shift it into reverse to slow their boat down, it had too much forward momentum, and it just kept on rolling and ran right into the bulkhead in front of the boat. Luckily, they didn't do any damage to the boat, and nobody on the boat got hurt. But they hit that bulkhead pretty hard, and it was because they were unaware of the amount of forward momentum they had, and the fact that when you put it in reverse, it doesn't engage right away and immediately start going backwards. It takes a while for the water to kind of start switching direction underneath your boat. On a single screw boat, like most outboards which just have one engine on them, or inboards with just one engine, the churning and the turning of the propeller actually pulls the boat to one side. And so as I'm leaving my marina, a lot of times as I'm backing up and I go to put it in forward, my boat will always pull to the right. It'll pull off to the starboard side, always, because of the way that my propeller is. And as it starts spinning, it just pulls my boat that way. I can't have my boat stopped, put it in gear to go forward, and have it actually go in a straight line when I'm at the marina, because it will always veer a little bit over to the right, to the starboard side, as it's going forward, and then it'll straighten itself out. There can be a pretty steep learning curve to some of the nuances of that, and that's why docking, pulling into a marina, and those kinds of things are the biggest challenges for boaters. Because one of the other interesting dynamics of boating is that once you're out of your marina or away from the dock or the pier, you're kind of on an open road with no stop signs or speed limits. Well, there's some speed limits in certain areas, but once you get out of those areas, you're on the open water. You can go as fast as you want. You don't have to stop, and you only have to basically just maneuver to turn around any of the other boats that are out there. So that aspect of it is very exhilarating, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people get into boating, is being able to just go fast and just go wherever you want to in whatever direction you want. I want to take a minute and thank those who subscribe to my channel, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. By subscribing, you let me know that you like the videos that I'm putting out there, you want to see more. Ring that bell to be notified when I have new videos coming out. So if you've never been in a boat before and you're taking it out for the first time, be cognizant of the fact that you're on the water and you have no brakes, and that out there in the river, in the bay, in the middle of the lake, operating your boat is quite easy. You turn and you feel the boat steer, and you curve around and all those beautiful things where you're making a nice wake and stuff like that, and that's loads of fun. It's just in the tight quarters where it can be a lot more challenging for a new boater because of the nuances of how a boat works and the fact that you're in water and there's always some movement somewhere. If the tide is heading out and the wind is blowing, when I go to come into my marina, sometimes it's much more difficult to come in straight than it is whenever the weather conditions are the opposite. And a lot of times as I'm pulling into the marina, I take a look at the water, I look at any flags that are out here, see which way the wind is blowing, and try to plan for that as I'm pulling in. It's something that you're not used to having to think about when you drive a car. I think one of the biggest challenges for a new boater is the fact that it doesn't stay where you want it to stay, and it doesn't always go in the direction that you steer it. So as a new boater, keep in mind that your boat steers from the back, the engine's in the back, and that your only choices you have to make your boat move is forward and reverse. And a lot of times, forward and reverse don't even steer unless you've got the engine engaged. So sometimes whenever you shut the engine off, you're not getting the same turning momentum that you get whenever the engine is on. Once again, it's so different than driving a car, because even with an engine off in a car, the car will still turn wherever the wheels have turned. But with a boat, it loses some of its momentum because all you have is that little bit of a rudder in the back there, but there's nothing pushing the water through there if the engine's not engaged. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay safe out there on the water.